both ends. Running that point spot right now for Minnesota, and gets aggressive and finishes through traffic.
And we're getting a glimpse of
What up, y'all? This your boy Ace here. Welcome to Ace's Angels, y'all. So I had already did this video yesterday. I had to redo it because the game took place, and so I wanted to talk about Aari McDonald and some of the overreaction to her performance last night. And just definitely wanted to redo the video because like I said, I did a video just basically squaring up on talking about Grace Berger, so I'm gonna just redo it in this one. By the way, as we start this video, I just want to wish Grace Berger a happy birthday. Her birthday was yesterday on the 3rd. So just happy birthday to her, as I believe she turns 26. So Grace Berger, right in her prime, like the beginning of her prime years now as a player. So hopefully, at some point this season, we get a chance to see her on the floor, and we get a chance to see how she's doing. So let's get to it, y'all, man, because so as y'all already know, the Indiana Fever took advantage of the hardship situation. They signed Aari McDonald, and Aari McDonald, she had I'm not going to say an impressive game, but she just had a game where, she made a lot of hustle plays and impressed the fan base and stuff like that. And so they signed her over Grace Berger. And it's not surprising, because I know Indiana Fever are not going to admit their mistake of giving up Grace Berger. I just know they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. And I had a feeling they weren't going to pick her up. And for those of y'all that's been on the channel, y'all know I made the video. The last video I made was last week. I think last Monday or Tuesday I made that video about Grace Berger and Serena Sundell need to get picked up. Since I made that video, realistically, I knew they weren't neither one of them are getting picked up. I'm not even sure if Serena Sundell's going to be on the WNBA roster the rest of the season. I think she's going to have to wait and just play overseas and kind of get her way into the WNBA that way, the hard way. So it is what it is on that, but I think that's the course of action that she's going to have to take. Grace, on the other hand, I'm expecting her to actually be on a roster at some point. I'm expecting her to be on the roster at some point this season, hopefully soon, because one of my girls that I really haven't talked about on this channel, but Megan McConnell made the Phoenix roster on a hardship. So, and she was undrafted, but I saw her play last night against Minnesota. She dropped in a 3 and had 3 assists in that game. So she had a pretty good performance, you know, for someone that just, like, I think they said they just signed her, like, either the day before or the day of the game. Like, she literally got called off the street and was out there. And she's one of the shorter guards. She's like 5'7", like barely taller than Georgia A. Moore. But I saw her at the Kesney, and she's I saw her a few times last year on ESPN Plus. That's how I see a lot of these. Like, if y'all want to see a lot of these good, this is why I tell people, bro. When people complain about expansion, they complain about the league having watered down talent. Dog, y'all don't watch a lot of these college players that be at these smaller schools. Y'all really need, for those of y'all that really want to get into women's hoops, you need to subscribe to ESPN Plus next fall. You need to subscribe to ESPN Plus. Watch these smaller schools and see these ballers at these smaller schools, bro. It's talent all over the place. It's just so spread out. And you really have to really look. And then you got players overseas. You got the players overseas who are ballers. There's plenty of talent all over the world. There's plenty of talent all over the world. Sometimes the problem is with the WNBA, the talent that's not even better than some of the talent that's not in the league are in the league. That's the problem. You got a lot of players that suck like Sydney Colson on rosters. And it makes it look like the depth in the WNBA isn't as good. So if you're a new person to the WNBA and you don't watch these smallest colleges and you don't watch like Duquesne and you don't watch these overseas girls, you don't have access to watching them, that's why you have that mindset that there's not a lot of talent. Now, is there that elite superstar talent all over the world? Maybe not, but there's players who could play. I'm actually, you know what? We're going to have to make a video about the Phoenix Mercury. I've been waiting out on that video. We're going to have to, now that they signed Megan McConnell, and Lexie Hull had the game that she had yesterday, 16 points last night for the Mercury. I think we're going to make that. I think we're going to make that video. I'm going to make a video, so be on the lookout for the Phoenix Mercury video, y'all, because we're going to have to talk about that. The Phoenix Mercury is a perfect example of why there is a lot of woman talent all over the world. Because they gotta half their team is full of unknowns to most people, and they are showing why even if we get to 20 teams, the talent's still gonna be spread out. You guys are complaining about, oh, my girl didn't make the team on this team during training camp or whatever. They need to expand the rosters. Well, you're saying that because you want your girl on the team, but it also shows that we don't have enough roster space as it is, because the WNBA has been set up for a long time. This is why the CBA needs to change. The WNBA has been set up for a long time to protect the old heads. This is why you see the old heads still in the league. This is why you see the old heads taking up spots that they shouldn't be taking up, like Sydney Colson and some of these older girls in the league that really shouldn't even be in the WNBA anymore. You know, this is why they're in the league over young players like Serena Sundell that should be on the roster. That's why you see that. And Grace Berger. That's why Grace Berger's not on the roster. That's why you didn't really see Grace Berger last year. You know? Because the old hit vets get priority. Every now and then you'll get a special occasion like an Alexa Held, Catherine Westbell, Loxa, Megan McConnell just last night be on teams. But that's because Phoenix is different from the other teams. They're showing you right now they're different from other teams. They actually do scouting. They actually do scouting. These other scouts and GMs, they don't want to do the work. They want to get who's ever old hit in the league, put that roster together. Seattle Storm. They want to do that instead of actually looking for these players. You know what I mean? So back to the situation though. Indiana Fever. So as I said, they pick up Aari McDonald, and I wasn't surprised. Another black girl, by the way. Look, I don't think you're going to see another white girl for the Fever the rest of the season. I think you're just going to have your three. You're going to have Caitlin. You're going to have Lexie. And you're going to have Sophie. You're not going to see any more white girls beyond that. I'll be surprised if they ever do. They would never bring in a Megan McConnell. Nah, they're not ever going to bring it. They won't even bring in somebody mixed like a Celeste Taylor. They're not even going to bring in someone like that. I'll tell you. That Stephanie White wants to look at these black girls from the sidelines, bro. I'm telling you. That's what it is. And we have one of the worst front offices in the league. But Aari McDonald had a mad game. You know, she hustled. So a lot of her stats was hustle stats. Points wise, you know, she had 7 points, which is pretty good. But she had like 27 minutes though. Grace Berger had like a 7-point performance in preseason with way less minutes than that. If Grace Berger had 27 minutes in that preseason game, I can guarantee you she's probably getting to like 12 to 14 points. You know. Aari is also not a point guard. So for these people that keep saying, oh, we finally got a backup point behind Caitlin. Well, do you not know that she's a 2 guard? Aari McDonald is a 2 guard. She's not a point guard. Can she play the point? She probably played the point way better than, obviously, anybody's better than Sydney Colson. A coat rack is better than Sydney Colson. You could have put anybody out there, and I guarantee you could have put Megan McConnell on that team. Megan McConnell, way better performance, coming off the street, hasn't played in any simulation game since the Kesney season was over with in March. Okay? Would have came in and did a better job than Sydney Colson. Then you got Kelsey Mitchell, who can't play the point at all. So, realistically, it's not hard to come in here and be the best looking point guard. DeWanna Bonner could be your damn point guard right now, to be honest with you. Shit, she's the best point guard on the team that's left. Because Sophie's injured right now. Lexie doesn't have the ball handling ability to be a consistent point, but she probably be your best option. And by the way, speaking of Lexie Hull, she won that game. We're going to do a separate video on Lexie Hull. Lexie Hull won that game, not Aari McDonald, not Kelsey Mitchell. It was Lexie Hull because she did everything in that game. Both sides of the ball, played elite defense. Really gave Washington trouble throughout that game because Washington had spurts, and this is the reason why the Fever won. The Fever's run in the middle of the game is where the difference was made. Washington could not score because Lexie was all over the place. Lexie was just everywhere on defense. And Lexie is having a great start to the season. She got back in that starting lineup. And she's playing amazing right now. And Lexie shows you, look, this is her 4th season. Some players need a little bit of time to adjust to the WNBA game. We can't keep giving up too soon on these younger players when they struggle out of the gate. Lexie struggled her first 2 seasons. Caitlin comes in, she gets some confidence, turns her game around. I think a rival has helped her. If anything, if there's any good that came from a rival, it was Lexie Hull in on the rival. Because I'm seeing a different Lexie. Like, Lexie's been a little bit more aggressive this season in scoring. 3-point shot, she's still leading the league. I think at 3-point percentage. I know coming into the game she did. I don't know if she came out of the game and she's still leading. But that tells you all you need to know. She's turned officially into a 3-and-D player. And look, I believe she's in the All-Star voting. I believe she can become an All-Star. The pace she's on, she actually can become an All-Star. And she better make one of those all-defensive teams too. She better make one of those all-defensive teams. I don't know if they got 3 like they got in the NBA. But if they got 3, she should be one of those top 15 players that's in one of those all-defensive teams. There's no doubt about that. She's one of the best defenders in the entire league. I don't even think she's in top 15. I think she's top 5 or 7 defensive players. But anyways, let's get back to the Grace Berger Aari McDonald thing. I want to close with that so I can get to this Lexie Hull video because I did not want this video to be too long. But so Aari McDonald, you know, the fans are gloating over her or whatever, and that's to be expected when the fan base, look, they've been in misery. Fever haven't won in a while. They are celebrating whenever they can, you know what I mean? And because a lot of the players have been given a lot of energy in these losses, they're just taking anything that they could get. This fan base overreacts to every fucking thing. That's the one thing about the Fever fan base. They overreact to everything, bro. They don't take it one game at a time. Bro, we need to see the whole body of work. I'm not impressed. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not impressed. I think Aari's hustle is what made the difference. It's sort of like those games where Lexie doesn't have a lot of points, but she hustles though. It's sort of like that. But Aari is fighting for her job, so she's gonna play harder than anybody else. She's gonna bring that energy. But there's a reason why she was cut, you know, by the team she's been on so far. And it's not just an old head thing for her. She actually, unlike the players that I've been vouching for on this channel, like Grace Berger, she's actually had her opportunities. You know what I'm saying? She's actually had her opportunities. She's been in the league since 2021 on the Atlanta Dream for like 3 seasons. And she was on the Sparks last year. She's had opportunities to stick with teams. You know, she's had opportunities and then wasn't able to take advantage of them. She's had a few starts here and there. The one good thing about her is outside of the 2023 season, she's been available. You know, she rarely gets hurt, which is the good thing about Aari. But she's had her opportunities. Her best season was 2022. 2022 was her best season where she averaged 11.1 points a game. Outside of that, she's mediocre at best. You know, if she's really this really great player, you will see Aari McDonald stick on the team. You might even still see her in the Los Angeles right now playing with Kelsey Plum and Odyssey Sims. And as a receiver, it's like you might see her on that team. But she's fighting for her career. I'm still at this point, man, I'm still taking Grace Berger over Aari McDonald. I don't care what Aari's doing out here. Unless Aari is averaging what she was averaging in Atlanta, which is 11.1 points per game. Looking like an all-star. I'm not sitting up here saying she's going to be a better option than Grace Berger. But one thing that I want to say, too, is that the Indiana Fever don't deserve Grace Berger's talents. They don't. I've gotten fed up with the Fever to the point where they don't even deserve Grace Berger at this point. They don't deserve her talent. You know what I'm saying? And the other thing is, too, fans are going to get upset because, like, let's say Aari keeps playing the way she is, right? You already know when Caitlin comes back and Sophie Cunningham comes back, there's a couple of scenarios that could play out here, right? Because the thing that I'm most interested in seeing is this Fever front office having to make a decision, right? Because once Sophie and Caitlin come back, they're going to have to make a decision between Sydney Colson, Bree Turner, and Aari McDonald. They can't keep all 3. They're going to have to make a decision and cut one of them. There's not enough money to go around. Not enough roster space to go around. So, they're going to have to make a decision. And I would love it if the Fever make the wrong decision. They keep, like, Bree Turner or Sydney Colson over her. They're going to be so pissed at those players, man. They're going to be so pissed at those players. I hope the Fever do some dumb shit like that. I hope they do. But, yeah, man, like, then the other scenario, and it's a theory that's been going around for a while, and I think it's true. I know CWB guy has touched up on this. This other dude that I used to listen to touched up on this earlier, that Caitlin Clark loves to get her 35 to 40 minutes a game, and that any threat to that this is why a lot of fans last year was hating on Grace Berger, because Grace Berger was a real threat to get those minutes, right? This is why they hated on Erica Wheeler and Christy Wallace as well, because they were threats to get CeCe's minutes, right? But Christy Sides decided to just let Caitlin play 35, 40 minutes a game, then get anybody else in the way. And you see how Erica Wheeler's balling. And see, I'm starting to take Erica Wheeler's side, because Erica Wheeler's showing you in Seattle right now what she's doing out there. Erica Wheeler really needed the minutes last year. And so if you go on a team with Caitlin Clark, like, oh, you're not going to, like, the thing about Aari McDonald is different. The good thing about her being a 2-guard is that she's going to be able to back up Kelsey Mitchell as well. So I don't think it's the same situation as it will be if you got a straight up point guard in here, where you're really not going to be able to see that back. That's why I said what I said. Like, I think I'm starting to be, get to a peaceful point with Grace Berger not being on the fever, because, and Serena Sundell, because, be honest, if Caitlin keeps playing these kind of minutes, they're not going to see the court anyways. They need to be on a team where they're getting about 15 minutes a game. So for Grace, and this is why I said the Fever don't deserve her, not just because of the way they treated her and released her and not trying to sign her back. That's the petty part of it. It's really because they're not going to play her that much anyways. Like, the only time you would have probably saw Grace Berger is like right now, where, Ari's got almost 30 minutes in the game. That's the only time you would have saw Grace Berger like that. The rest of the season, you'd be lucky to see 5 minutes out of her. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, you know what? It actually works out better for Grace if she's not on this team. You know what I mean? But she just needs to plug in somewhere where she can get those minutes. And there's a few interesting situations out there. Phoenix would have been one of them, but they just signed, McDonald. McConnell. So I don't think that right now they're looking at her. But there's other opportunities, because these girls keep getting hurt. So more and more opportunities are going to, open up. Another team to be on the lookout for. I think Connecticut's situation is getting a little bit tricky up there. I think that'd be a situation she could be looking at. What was another team that I was? Chicago for sure. If Sloot ever gets injured, because it'd be crazy if Sloot plays every fucking game this season at her age. But Sloot has been a very durable point guard throughout her career. HVL did get hurt at one point. That'd be a situation I'd keep an eye on for Berger, for sure. There's some other situations I just can't think right now. But I want her to stay off the teams where it's like the team's trying to make a championship run, like Seattle, Aces, Minnesota, the Liberty too, but the Liberty could essentially have her, but she's just not going to get the minutes. But the Liberty blow out a lot of people, so she probably get in late games. But I won't want her to be on a team like I want her to be on a team that's kind of bad, but they got roster space. LA's another situation she could be in at some point if Plum or Sims ever go down with injuries. Valkyries might still be in the mix. Then we got Caitlin Chin out there. I'm trying to see, what's happening for her as well, not just Serena Sundell. So we'll see. But Washington be another interesting spot. Let's talk about Washington real quick before we go. I'm going to probably talk about Washington more in that Lexie Hull video, so be on the lookout for that. But Washington has an interesting situation going on right now. Unfortunately for Fever fans, they didn't get a chance to see Lucy in this game like they saw in the last game. This is the only game where Lucy Olsen did not play a single minute. I don't know what was going on with that, but Washington has to make a decision soon. Because Suge Sutton, I love her because I love the way she played with Grace Berger, and I wouldn't mind if she went to Washington to go back with playing with Suge, because her and Suge had nice chemistry on the court. But Suge is just not getting it done right now. And I feel like it might be time to give Lucy some more minutes at some point to see what she can do if she had like 20 minutes in the game. You know, the most she's played is like 16, I believe. So, but to end this video, man, this it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Grace. I think by the All-Star break, I think we should hear something where she's on the team. Because like I said, these players just keep going down with injuries, and I think there's going to be a spot that opens up for her. A lot of her competition to get a spot is starting to, you know, slimmer down too. So Grace and her agent just need to keep listening out for that phone, because it's definitely going to be a phone call coming up. But at the end of the day, the FIFA don't deserve Grace. They don't deserve her at all. And yeah, man, we're going to keep an eye on it, man. But go ahead and give me your thoughts, man. Give this video a like, share, subscribe. Thank y'all for watching. Aces, Angels, y'all.